Hello everyone, and welcome to One Story channel. On October 2nd, renowned psychic medium Craig Hamilton Parker shared his latest predictions and spiritual insights for the future. This time, he focused on the upcoming months of October and November, emphasizing their profound significance for the world. These 2 months, according to Craig, could become some of the most pivotal periods in recent history. As he has predicted many times before, Craig feels that these months will be filled with dramatic events, potentially altering the trajectory of global affairs. October and November, the crucial months. Craig highlighted that the next 2 months could be among the most tense and critical periods in global affairs for years. He reviewed his previous predictions, stressing that tensions in the Middle East, particularly the conflict between Israel and neighboring countries, will intensify during this time. Craig recalled his earlier forecasts about Israel's conflict with its neighbors, noting that he had foreseen these developments long ago and mentioned that Yemen could be drawn into the situation. When Israeli forces entered Gaza, Craig predicted that the conflict would quickly expand to Hezbollah, and his prediction has since proven accurate. Furthermore, Craig addressed his earlier prediction about Israel potentially advancing into the West Bank. While this has not yet occurred, he remains confident that it is highly likely. He explained that Israel has endured missile attacks from Yemen and Lebanon, which are backed by Iran, for a long time. For Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, this is a defining moment in his legacy. If he wants to leave a lasting mark in Israeli history, he must act now. Therefore, Craig believes that Israel will eventually be forced to strike Iran, and this moment may be rapidly approaching. Craig's predictions are not limited to the conflict between Israel and Iran. He believes that Israel's current military actions conceal a larger strategic objective. Israel must first neutralize smaller enemies in the region before preparing for the ultimate conflict with Iran. Craig explained that this knock them out one by one strategy is common in military tactics, eliminating smaller threats to avoid being overwhelmed in a multi-front war. The Israeli army can deal with Hamas and Hezbollah relatively easily, so before facing Iran, they need to remove these smaller obstacles. The risk of global war. When asked whether a third world war might break out, Craig responded candidly, stating that he does not believe the conflict will spread globally. However, he admitted that the situation in the Middle East could become more complex, and other countries may become involved. Craig predicted that Israel's military actions would prompt intervention from more nations, and that the U.S. stance would likely shift in the coming months. Craig believes that U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will face significant challenges in dealing with this conflict. Whether they choose to intervene or not, they will face political difficulties. If they intervene, they may anger anti-war voters. If they remain on the sidelines, they could be criticized for weakness. As a result, Craig predicts that this war will have a major impact on the 2024 U.S. presidential election, particularly affecting public opinion of Biden and Harris. While Craig downplays the likelihood of a global war, he still cautions that the current situation is worrying. He does not foresee the use of nuclear weapons in this conflict, despite earlier threats from Russia to use them against Ukraine. Nevertheless, Craig remains convinced that even if tensions in the Middle East escalate, the chances of a nuclear war are extremely low. He recalled information received from various mediums, all of which indicated that while conflicts between countries like Iran and Iraq would have global repercussions, they would not lead to widespread destruction on a global scale. Craig also provided clear predictions regarding the future of Iran. Despite the current seemingly unbreakable grip of the Iranian regime, he foresees potential changes on the horizon. Craig shared a strange dream in which he saw red and yellow flags flying over Iran, perhaps symbolizing a return of Iran's old monarchy. Craig believes that Iran's future could return to a more democratic and prosperous state, similar to the country's earlier monarchical system. He specifically highlighted the strength of Iran's younger generation, noting that the country has a vibrant youth population, which will be key in driving future change. Although the current regime remains firm, Craig is confident that this youthful energy will eventually lead to transformation in Iran. If Iran can transition to democracy, it would be a significant step forward not only for the Middle East but for the entire world. Spiritual awakening and global change. In addition to political and military issues, Craig also addressed a viewer's question about spiritual awakening. The viewer asked whether the current global situation signals that humanity is entering a new era of spiritual awakening. In response, Craig offered profound insights. He explained that many mediums and spiritual teachers believe that humanity is gradually entering a golden age, an age of light and awakening. Craig connected this concept with the Hindu idea of yuga cycles, referencing the great transitions between ages described in the Bhagavad Gita. According to these ancient teachings, humanity goes through different ages, transitioning from the dark, Kali Yuga, into an age of light. Craig believes that we are currently experiencing this transition, with the electric age bringing rapid technological advancements such as artificial intelligence and electric vehicles. Though we are still in the midst of this transition, he believes the future will be a time of innovation and spiritual progress. He further elaborated that each individual has the opportunity to achieve spiritual awakening in their own life. Even in today's turbulent world, everyone can find inner peace and joy through personal spiritual practice. Craig believes that true awakening does not depend on external events but rather on how each person connects with their inner self. The U.S. economy and technology outlook. While discussing global politics in the Middle East, Craig also touched on potential economic shifts in the coming months. He had previously predicted that the global economy might experience some degree of collapse around November 2024, particularly due to the impact of the Middle East conflict. A viewer asked whether this economic downturn would affect investments in technology and artificial intelligence stocks. Craig responded cautiously. He believes that while tech stocks may remain stable during a war, given the reliance on technology for warfare, artificial intelligence stocks may be overvalued. Craig warned viewers not to invest blindly in AI just because it is a new field, as excessive market enthusiasm could lead to a bubble. He suggested that investors place more of their funds in more stable assets, such as real estate. During the economic discussion, Craig also addressed a hot topic: electric vehicles and net zero emissions policies. A viewer asked whether the future goal of net zero emissions would be realized and whether electric vehicle adoption would face challenges. Craig expressed his skepticism about current policies. He pointed out that while countries like the UK are actively promoting net zero emissions, achieving this goal is not as simple as it seems. The production of wind turbines and other green energy devices still requires vast amounts of steel and energy, which in turn generates significant carbon emissions. Furthermore, Craig noted that many pollution issues have been outsourced to countries like China, while developed nations have only superficially achieved green transitions. Therefore, Craig believes that current net zero emissions policies are somewhat of a false victory. He urged governments to reassess these policies and take more practical and sustainable measures to address environmental issues. He reminded viewers that regardless of how chaotic the world becomes, each individual can find peace and joy through inner spiritual practice. In this insightful and thought-provoking episode, Craig not only answered viewers' questions but also provided some deep predictions for the world's future. He emphasized that while the coming months will be challenging, each person has the power to maintain inner peace and awakening. Craig encouraged viewers to stay tuned to the One Story channel, as their engagement and support are what drive the channel forward. The world may be full of challenges, but with inner peace and awakening, we can all grow and look forward to the future. Let inner peace and awakening become the true source of strength.